This is the thing. A lot of people don't understand that your lineage is important and it's going to impact your spiritual walk with God. Because it will be certain sins you're going to have a harder struggle dealing with, right? And this could mean, right, your lineage going back to, you know, uh, your ancestors, right? A long way down the line. And then groups of people will have the same ancestors, and those group of people will look a certain way. So yes, race is important, right? Because you'll notice groups of people having the same issue, right? And then when you look at it spiritually, it's a spiritual issue that they all have, right? It's a reason for that. You may notice groups of people, they have a problem with anger. You may notice a group of people, they might have a problem with, self-hate, right? But then you may notice families having, people who come from a certain family having certain problems. Your lineage is important because the problem with Christians, especially in America, you guys have this one-size-fits-all approach, man, right? Of just, be saved, and you either going to hell, or you going to heaven. But once you come to the knowledge, all you gotta do is study the Bible and believe, and then you just get through the normal lives of struggles. But that's pretty much it, But I understand that certain people, it's gonna need to go to certain people to get help. Certain people ain't qualified to speak to everybody. Certain people, if you just be in the Word for like 5 months, you're not qualified to speak to a person that's been struggling with a certain demon, but they believe in God, but they've been struggling with certain sins because of a spiritual stronghold for over 10 years. You're not qualified, right? If you're a Christian and you've never been married, you're not qualified to speak to a Christian couple who's on the verge of getting a divorce. You're not qualified. But Christians, especially in America, have this one-size-fits-all approach. They give off this general knowledge, right? Because Paul said, I would not speak of things that Christ has not achieved through me, right? And that's why Paul made it very clear of the things it takes to be a bishop, right? The things it takes to be a deacon. You had to have all these qualifications. But what was important was years of experiences and years of being consistent, right? And so through my years of understanding, I can conclude that yes, race is still important. That's why they always talk about the tribe that people came from. That's why Paul even mentioned that who he was. This stuff is still important because it's going to determine where you're going to go through spiritually, your spiritual walk. The stuff is passed down. But if you have this superficial, watered down Christian perspective, you don't understand principalities, you don't understand demons, you don't understand none of that kind of stuff. You're just a simple Christian, and I call it, you're a sheltered Christian, basically. But that's just my take on it.